Hey guys, Belladonna here, back with some more of my awesome collection. Tonight we're going to be taking a little look at some of my antique English earthenware. And the set I have here is from SONS. So if you know anything about earthenware, then you might have heard of the pattern, the Blue Willow pattern, because it was a really popular dinnerware pattern and it ran for a really long time in production. This pattern, Yuan in blue and white, was actually considered the longest running of their patterns. So the patent number registered on it was first documented in 1916, and it was designed by Frederick Rhead based off of a plate he saw in the British Museum from the 13th century Yuan dynasty. And so he took the motifs off of this, Chinese dynasty plate, and he turned it into this transferware pattern, and then he had it printed on this earthenware pottery. And earthenware is absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of like, the look of a porcelain almost, but it's heavier. And so this type of ceramic is, a little bit more on the prone to chipping side. And when they glaze it and finish it like this, it's also really prone to crazing. So it's really rare sometimes to be able to find the older pieces in good condition because, they get all crackled and glazed on the top and they have chips to the corners and edges or like the little bottom rims and stuff, and they get damaged really easily, unfortunately. So I just loved being able to find a set that was in such great condition. I mean, it has a few little things, like you can see the markings here and here, but they're actually in the glaze themselves. So that would have happened during the manufacturing process. So it's still kind of interesting to see. One of the really cool things for collectors about this pattern is that it changed a lot just based off of, who was stamping it, where it was being stamped, all of these things. The engraving patterns were, reused over the years, and they would need to be updated to keep the edges and lines sharp, and so they'd go in there and they'd redo them all and everything, and this could lead to like a whole bunch of variances within the same pattern. On top of that, the pattern itself also featured a few different types of birds surrounded in the foliage of the middle. And so, one of the things that, collectors like is being able to collect them all, and definitely on my list of things to do. But it also makes it really hard to find ones that actually perfectly match. So you'll notice that these two, for example, are not perfectly matching pieces, and I will come closer to the camera later, I promise. But one of the things I found really fascinating when I picked these up is that the patent date, like I mentioned, was actually supposed to be first documented to be registered at least, in 1916. But you can also hand document their brand or company name. And so before 1907, they were called Wood & Son. But after another son joined the company in 1907 until 1910, they were called Wood & Sons. However, after 1910, they then added the LTD. And so all of their pieces produced after 1910 should have had an LTD on it. But both of these, despite having all of the other stuff that is proper for their old patterns and piece markings, have something that isn't quite right. And it's the fact that they still show the older Wood & Son instead of Wood & Son LTD. And so from the research I've done, apparently this can happen when you're, going through the company's factory. You have all of their patterns and pieces that they're stamping things with and everything, and they all get mixed around. And so sometimes, even if they've changed over to new ones, they've still got the old ones in there, and it doesn't cycle itself out right away. And so sometimes you'll find pieces in the beginning of production after a change like that has been made that still has the old stuff on it. So again, I said I'd show you a little bit closer here. This is the adorable little cup. This thing is it fits in my hand, and I don't have very large hands. And it has these beautiful, beautifully decorated inside to the rim. I really, really love how much like care was done in the detailing for these, even the little handle. Because like I said, like this is all like transferware, but it was a pattern engraved that they were transferring it from. So someone did still sit there and create all of that detail. And then they had to color it just right. And so that's another thing that you'll see with these pieces is that not all of them have the same amount or shading of colors. And so that beautiful blue is darker or lighter in some of them. And it's really, really cool to see all of those variations and learn all about what makes those differences and changes happen. So I hope you enjoyed this little close-up and stay tuned for my next item. Thanks!